Use your mind, you better think, you better think, think it through, you better think, you better think, you better think. Are you a zombie? You better think. Use your mind, don't be a follower. You
Yes,
better
this is the
think.
month of lupus
Yeah, like
awareness.
that.
Many of us, we already know, are touched by the illness in some way, either through, a past family member, a current, future friend, or self. We are going to explore it, not only because it is the month, but it in particular touches the poetess Chanelle and myself. I personally, when I was much younger, Lord, about 630 years ago, I dated someone who was diagnosed with lupus at a very early age. We still had supple skin without, giving you all the details to tie. And there was a lot that was unknown about the illness. In my current time, I have two close friends who have lupus. So I'm touched by it. Without going into the details of the stories, I, learned that you have to be careful and gentle with people who have lupus for the most part due to the joint and organ challenges that they face. It's basically, in my opinion, to keep it on a higher level, I will say it's like being when someone touches you after sunburn, basically. Um, you'll hear more about this later on the show. Of course, like I said, I can't go into that type of detail because I don't have the experience, but I urge you all to take a moment. It can take 5 minutes and Google lupus. I understand there are a couple of variants out there. I've heard of the lupus erythematosus, the lupus SLE. I'm very uneducated in that area, so don't take me on anything. Type lupus, word for the day. Take 5 minutes, see a little bit more about what it is. People ask stupid questions. I've heard people with lupus share stories, of things people ask. And I encourage you to Google first and stop asking stupid questions of people who are affected by the illness. Um, Tonight, as I said, we are going to explore this topic and we're going to talk near and dear. We're going to discuss lupus from the viewpoint of someone who is actually living with it at this moment, who is oh, so wonderful to take the time to allow us a peek into her life. Some of us go through so much and no one knows. And I think as you hear this story, you'll be very surprised and agree with me that, everybody does not look like they feel. And some of these people out here going through these things are out there doing more to help those with less. I encourage you to understand a little bit more about it so you can be aware when you are in the presence of others with it. We also have the pleasure of having another guest on the show this evening. Her mother had lupus quite some time ago, 40 years from this current time, at a time where there was not a lot of research into the field because there were so many unknowns. So she led a life much different than our other guest who actually lives in modern times with lupus. I encourage you all to get your beverages, as I always say. Get yourselves comfortable, get your cocktail, and sit tight and enjoy the journey that we're about to be blessed with, to be privileged to go inside the minds of people who are not only living a life, but people who have had to watch their own parents live that life. And as some of you know, lupus is a genetic disease. So imagine living without it and wondering if marker will ignite in yourself. There's so much to learn. You know, there's so many ways that people are affected by things in general. Take some time to understand that life. It's not an easy life. And as you'll find out, luckily it can be managed. You know, unfortunately, at this time in the universe, no one has revealed a reversing cure. I'm not going to say it's not out there. I've learned not to say that. Perhaps we have not discovered it or it is hidden from us. It's not for me to say. I'll just say that, you know, the general population, from what I understand, is unaware of a cure, and but like I said, thankfully it can be managed. You know, I had a friend that was told she would live very short time, and 40 years later she's still alive. So to the universe be all the glory that, you know, not everything the doctors say is true. So on that note, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by the poetess Chanelle, and we're going to go a little deeper on this subject. You're listening to You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle.
Use your mind, you better think, you better think.
Listening to You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. Welcome back to You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. As you always do, Miss Poetess Chanelle has just entered the building. So as y'all already know, she chooses the topic and we get a poem. So without further ado, let's hit it.
The title of this poem is called Lupus. Lupus, the devastating illness that almost took my life. I had to move forward and not give up the fight. Tiredness and joint pain visited me where I couldn't dance. My lover didn't want to touch me, forgot about romance. It's been a long journey, but I'm holding on. The friends that were around, now they are gone. I felt so lonely at certain times. That's when I set my eyes on the Most High. He gave me back my health and gave me the answer to deal with the calamity I was dealt. No money or friends could give me what the Most High did. Unlike humans, he keeps his promises. Taking it day by day is something I live by. Don't know what the future holds, but I keep my head high. Motivating myself through my own words, because people will leave you and give you the curve. Acting like they care, but they really don't. Having an illness can make you feel isolated and down in the dumps. Be around people who lift up your spirits. Jokes and laughs are the best medicine. Shout out to my bestie, she was there, sincerely concerned about my welfare. Some days it's still a struggle, can't get out of bed, sick time on zero. The next day my body rejuvenated, feel like a superhero. The heat and humidity are like kryptonite to me. Feelings of weariness and fainting. Long sleeves all year round, it's a bummer. Sweat beads rolling down my back in the middle of summer. In the house until dusk, feel like a vampire. No outdoor parties until it's dark, and missing out on events was the norm. Things have improved greatly. Yes, I've weathered the storm. Since then, I rely on the Most High. That's where I get my strength. And thanks to him, I'm still standing. Faith tall like Mount Everest, that's what keeps me going. Lupus is not the author and finisher of my life. The Lord is my shepherd. That's why I'm still writing here in twilight. So anyone dealing with lupus, keep fighting through the tears. Hold on to the Most High to overcome your fears. Boom.
Boom. I know a lot of you out there are really surprised now by what you heard. You already know the poetess Chanelle writes about herself. So yes, the poetess Chanelle has the challenge of lupus. I personally don't consider it a disease. I consider it a challenge because of the way that she's taking care of herself. You would never know, which is also one of the unfortunate parts of the challenge, that people don't necessarily see it. Um, Poetess Chanelle, first, I would like to thank you for sharing yourself with us on that level. So many people struggle with things that they don't know how to talk about. And you giving a voice to this just adds more to what people to need to cope. So thank you for um taking the opportunity to allow me to ask you a few questions on this topic.
You're most certainly welcome.
Now, how long have you known that you have lupus?
Since 2011.
Hmm. Is that about 11 years or something like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Around 12.
from the time that you learned, how did you feel immediately? Did you know anything about lupus when you were told of the condition, or were you innocent to it?
I was not innocent to it because there are several family members that have been diagnosed with the illness. And it was no stranger to me because I have a sister who died from a lung transplant. Okay, that was gone wrong because she had lung issues. So she died from like a lupus complication. So no, I was no stranger to this.
Um, you mentioned your sister. Was that a long time ago where she had her surgery, or was it in recent years?
Recent years.
Hmm.
Recent.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because I know I'm familiar, as I mentioned on the show earlier this evening, with lupus too, from the standpoint of people that I care about. And the research almost seems some points like it really I haven't seen like amazing breakthroughs like you tend to see in other areas, but I'm not a researcher, in all fairness, but
Right.
I'm not hearing it. Would you say that the research in the last 10 years, you've seen any breakthroughs that have allowed you to better manage your lupus, or do you feel like things are pretty much status quo the same?
I think things are pretty much still stagnated because all they're doing is coming up with new medicine. This is my opinion from what I'm seeing.
Right.
From what I am seeing, they are coming up with developing new medications, but not getting to the root of it. I, I'm kind of upset because this illness, you need to get to the root of the root cause of it. Stop saying you don't know. It's been too long. You get millions of dollars from Congress to to find a cure, the Lupus Foundation. And I'm like, okay, where's the cure? That's my question. I don't want to hear about any other medication. Introducing new medicines with side effects that can be detrimental to someone's health. So I am disappointed. I'm disappointed. Yes, I am.
Do you think that classism, wealth, plays a role in how people receive treatment? I mean, I know it does in general, but like, are there any clinical trials out there that you think for the public? Do you feel that there's fair distribution of what's available to cope with lupus?
Well, they do have clinical trials, but I feel that there is a disparity because lupus affects the majority of the African American, Latina, and I'm not sure, but small part of the Asian community because I was told this by a specialized doctor
Mm.
that it affects women of color mostly. Okay.
I
Not to
always
say
find
it.
that interesting that when
Mhm.
challenges pattern certain ethnicities, races, it makes you wonder demographically, is there something going on in the food and the water?
Mhm. You have a point because it's like, okay, the sun, they're trying to say like the sun, like being in hot tropical climates. It was told to me and I've read about it that being in certain tropical climates heightens your risk because of the UV rays
Right.
from the sun. The sun is like I said in my poem, kryptonite. Okay? Like Superman had kryptonite, like it was his weakness. For lupus warriors, the sun is like kryptonite. And I'm speaking from my experience because I know if I am in the sun too long, I do not feel well. If I'm in the humidity too long, I start feeling sick. So it is that is a truthful, that is a fact that the sun plays a factor in triggering symptoms of a flare. Okay. And go ahead.
I was just going to say to the audience, I bet a lot of you didn't even know that, you know. Like I said, there are people out there who think lupus is just cancer. There's so much miseducation and lack of education when it comes to the topic. So listen to Poetess Chanelle today.
Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think.
Welcome to You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the Poetess Chanelle. As you already know, tonight we're discussing a topic that's very dear to many people. We're having some conversation right now with people in North America, and we're talking about lupus, which is a health condition that takes challenges on the body, as you've been hearing throughout the show. We've been trying to touch the topic not only from the viewpoint of people who are actually going through the illness, but people involved in the network of the illness. So next on the air, we have a woman who is touched through association and also familia. So let us introduce right now Miss Carol and the poetess Chanel, and she are going to bring you some enlightenment as I sip my tea.
Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, Carol. How are you doing this evening?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm good on this.
No, we want to thank you because we know how busy you are and we know that your schedule is packed. So we want to thank you for squeezing us into your busy schedule. So this month's topic is lupus, just like Cass had mentioned. And you know, Lupus Awareness Month, you know, we have a color. Purple is the color for the month of May. Lupus warriors wear purple to signify that this battle is not over. This is a constant battle to get advanced medicine, advanced breakthroughs. We learning more and more about this illness. So I'm going to just jump right into the questions, Carol. You know, as a child whose mother was diagnosed with lupus, what changes did you see after she found out?
Well, a lot of the illness was misdiagnosed from the beginning. My mother had symptoms back in the 80s, and back then there was not a lot of research being done on lupus, so none of the doctors really could diagnose her and pinpoint exactly what was wrong with her. They was associating other illnesses like the joint pain that you get with lupus. They associated that with arthritis, and it was actually lupus symptoms, but no doctor could not diagnose her with it. They kept misdiagnosing her, treating her for arthritis for many years.
Wow. And how many years, do you know how many years they were misdiagnosing your mom?
Yes, we believe that back in 82, she had her first lupus symptoms, which was fluid around her heart. and she had to have an emergency surgery done to remove the fluid away from her heart. And again, they did not diagnose her with lupus at that time. But as the years progressed and we reflect back on her symptoms of what she was going through back then, we said, yeah, she definitely had the lupus symptoms back in 1982, where they couldn't
Okay.
even they didn't even diagnose it.
Wow. 1982, the 80s. And explain to us how you felt when you found out about this devastating diagnosis. When you guys actually found out that it was lupus, describe your feelings to us.
Well, my feelings was, I mean, I was devastated because I said, my mother, all of these years, had this joint pain. She had the fluid around her heart. And you telling me all of the doctors that we took her to get relief from her pain that she was having, and they still kept saying it was arthritis. I felt like I couldn't even, you know, think about them misdiagnosing my mother at the time. I just was, I felt so bad. I was actually grown already.
Right.
So, it was devastating to me to see my mother go through so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to take her to so many different doctors.
Wow.
And finally, 3 years before my mom passed away is when we took her to a specialist, and the specialist knew right away, because of her symptoms and what we told them about her history. Then he determined it right off the bat and said that, yes, your mother has lupus. It was 3 years before she died.
That is so awful. That is so awful. 3 years before her death, they found out that she had it. By then, she was so far gone. And am I right?
Yes, yes,
Mm,
yes. She was
mm.
far gone. Because lupus is an autoimmune disease,
That's
which
right.
means that your organs attack themselves. So
Exactly.
it affects every part, every organ in your body, your heart, your eyes, your
Yeah.
liver, your kidneys. And of course, the main symptoms for lupus is the joint pain that doctors often mistake it for arthritis. But
Exactly.
mhm.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to add that with lupus, there is a rheumatoid factor. That's why it gets confused with arthritis, because there is a rheumatoid factor that comes along with the lupus, and that's what happened. That's why they were getting confused. That's why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens often. It happens often, but
Yes, it does.
that's devastating to find, to just know that it took them 3 years before she died to find out that she had this devastating illness. It's just awful. My next question is, knowing that they discovered this illness when it was too late. I know if it was me, I would have been peeved. Do you feel like the health system failed your mother?
I certainly do. I certainly do. The reason why I feel that the medical system at the time felt my mother is because they wasn't doing near as much research as they doing now surrounding lupus illnesses and lupus complications. And at that time, my mother was a Medicaid patient. So I felt that my mother at the time was receiving substandard medical care,
Substandard.
and substandard, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that she was not getting the medical care that she needed in order to help her navigate through this chronic illness, because lupus is a chronic illness.
Yes.
And that she did not get the medical care that she need, I believe, because she was a Medicare patient.
Wow.
Now,
What?
and I hate to, say that, but that's
Right.
how I felt. And that's how I still feel, that
Mhm.
if, we were rich, it would be a whole total different story.
Right.
Because the rich uh people, I don't have anything against anyone, but there's a difference between when you have money for medical care and when you are on the city's system,
Mm-hmm.
right? And at that time, back in the 80s, when my mother was going through what she was going through in terms of the lupus complications, we couldn't afford to get her better medical care. It's
Right.
just so happened that the years went past, and as my mother progressed in her chronic illness, and we finally took her to a specialist, a rheumatoid specialist,
That's right.
that Medicaid rather paid for, and he automatically knew what it was. But at that
Right.
time, it again, as I mentioned, it was too late.
Too
It was
far.
too late.
Too far gone.
Too
Okay.
far gone.
Right. I would like to add on to that. Um, when that happens, when they find out when it's too late, it's really, it becomes like, what action do we take now that it's so far gone? And you mentioned that it was the 80s. The 80s. I mean, I think around that time, medicine, we know medicine wasn't as advanced as it is now, but in New York City, we know this city is one of the best places to get medical care. So I can
Hmm.
understand why you feel like they failed your mom.
Yeah, they
So
did.
yeah, I'm gonna ask you this question, for the audience. What advice can you give the audience who has a parent, who has a sibling, who has a family member in general, when they first get diagnosed with this illness? What advice can you give caretakers,
Wow,
caregivers?
that is an excellent question, and I am happy to answer. What I would tell the audience from my experiences, even though that was back in the 80s, and of course, medicine is far more advanced than it was back then, I would say do your research. Make sure that you take your loved ones to specialists, not regular, general practice doctors. You need specialists in order to help you navigate and how to take care of your loved one with this chronic illness, this lupus chronic illness. Do your research. Make sure you research the specialists as well. They have way more doctors who specialize in lupus care now. And then the Lupus Foundation, of course, have resources. I would say educate yourself as well. That's number two. Educate
Exactly.
yourself on the lupus disease, so you will know and be aware of the symptoms, like especially if you are a caretaker, you will
Right.
know what the symptoms are, and you will know what type of care that your loved one needs. So educate yourself is number two. And
Right.
number three, make sure that you are on top of the appointments, the doctor's visits, and making sure that your loved one is not missing appointments, because coupled with good health care and of course the support of your family and support of other loved ones, lupus can be managed. It can be managed.
I agree.
And I think that a lot of the people back then that was not diagnosed, right? They didn't know how to manage it. They didn't do their research. They did not search out and vet some of the specialists that specializes in rheumatoid arthritis, or a doctor that specializes in lupus research. Those are the things that I would tell the audience from my
Okay.
experience.
Thank you for that wonderful advice, and thank you for the insight. You heard it right here on You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. We want to thank you, Carol, for joining us on You Better Think.
Thank you
Don't
for
be a
having me.
zombie.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think. Right. Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't be a zombie. You better think. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think.
Hey everybody, welcome back to You Better Think, hosted by the poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen. If you've been with us this evening, you already know the topic. We're discussing lupus. We're discussing this medical challenge from all kinds of viewpoints today, including the perspective of people who have been challenged with the condition, family and friends who are supporting or not supporting the condition. The poetess Chanel and I were having a little discussion on a commercial break, and we decided to stop it and bring it to you all. It's all about support. So I'm going to turn the mic over to her and let her drop from her brain to you.
Yes. Lupus, a very, very sad, devastating illness. As you know, we have specified this in the beginning of the show, debilitating it can be. I want to discuss something that really affected me when I first got diagnosed. I want to talk about the loneliness that I felt. Even though I'm not going to sit here and say I was totally by myself, because I wasn't, because I did have a partner. I did have someone in my life at the time that was there in the beginning. But then after a while, people change, and not everybody can deal with the seeing their partner sick. I used to have to go to doctor's appointments. I had a lot of doctor's appointments. Like, I used to have to go to the rheumatologist. I think I went to the rheumatologist when I first got diagnosed. I think I went every 8 weeks. Because she really wanted to monitor my progress, and the medication that she put me on, which is prednisone, it can be very dangerous. So I would have to keep going to the doctor. I would have to leave work early. And good thing that my deputy, she was very supportive of me leaving early. She didn't give me a hard time. But the loneliness that I felt was that I feel like no one offered to go to the doctor with me. No one offered to say, well, I know you're going through a lot. Let me come with you to your doctor's appointment. No one asked me if I needed anything. I feel like I should have had more support. I should have had more of a support system. I don't feel like I got enough support when I first got diagnosed. And it was very lonely for me. It was
Poetess
very lonely
Chanelle,
at times.
if I may
Yes.
interrupt and ask you a question.
Mhm.
Just from what I know about you as a human, you
Mhm.
project as a very confident and strong, self or autonomous individual. Do you think that played a role in people not offering support, thinking you had it and you were strong, or was it their lack of knowledge of what you were truly going through, or a combination? If you don't mind speaking to that.
Definitely. I think it could be a combination. It could be a combination of what you just said. Like, I'm usually doing everything by myself. I'm usually on point, and I think that played a part. But still, if somebody tells you that they're diagnosed with this illness and you know about it, why not offer to go to the doctor with me?
I
Just for
completely
support.
agree. Completely agree. And I have that character, so I'm definitely the wrong person to ask because I'm hands down loyal to my peeps. All you got to do is put a tear in your eye in the corner, and I'm there. So,
Right. It's like you might feel like I got it, but offer at least. I might say no, but the fact that you offered to go with me, I keep that in the back of my mind. But no one offered to go with me to the doctor. No one asked me if I needed anything. And this is the part I talk about when it comes to selfishness. Like, some people are very selfish and all they care about is themselves, you know.
it's true.
And I really feel like that. And I just didn't have the support that I thought I needed. I needed more support. And I'll never forget that. Like, I'm not holding grudges or anything against anyone, but I always will remember who supported me and who didn't even check on me that much. It was bad. And when I got into another relationship, it was embarrassing because the person was like, yo, your peeps don't even check on you like that. Like, what's up with that? They know you don't feel well. Why your peeps don't check on you like that? And I was like feeling bad. What could I say to that, Cass? Like, I couldn't say nothing because it was true. And I'm not going to sit there and lie and sugarcoat. I just stood quiet because the truth is the truth, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Were you in a good space with your people at the time?
It wasn't a bad space. No,
Okay.
it wasn't even a bad space. It wasn't a bad space. No.
And to speak on, as you all hear, audience, the Poetess Chanelle is talking about a support system that many of us who are intimate with this challenge are not providing. Poetess, you speak of a lot of things that it sounds like people are overlooking or either have tunnel vision too. Like, do you like education? What role do you think that played in you feeling like you didn't have a support system? Did they even understand what you were facing?
There are some people that know me and that's my people that they know about this illness. This is not some people, all right, even if you don't know, and if I tell you what happened, what do you like what as a human and you are caring about this person and you're in this person's life, what would you do? Like, what would you do if your people told you, look, I was diagnosed with this illness, man. Like,
Okay.
Do you just leave them at the wayside, or do you call often and check on them?
Well, me personally, I'm known for being and what would I describe it as, an uneducated nurse, you know? And I say that to
Right.
say that, you know, I have gone all around this country to visit my people, family, and friends in their times of need when it comes to health. I am currently stationed at a location with a dear friend of mine, um, participating in the recovery of her health. I don't believe in talk without action, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. Because I'm
Right.
hands down, I will go anywhere for my family and friends if I'm capable. I've faced near death situations where 6 weeks later I was on the road going to someone else who was facing a near death situation. Because I believe that's what we're supposed to do. You know, you show up. I don't need anybody.
Right.
I understand everybody cannot physically show up, but for those who can, or whatever you can do, whether, like you said, it's a phone call. It could be, did you eat today? Oh, let me DoorDash you a dinner to put a smile on your face. Let me send you a
Mhm.
card, make you laugh. You know, it's not just about, some people run from the being there part because some people can't handle it, in all fairness. But there are hundreds of ways to show up. Hear us out there in the audience. And on that note, we'll be right back.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think. Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't be a zombie. You better think. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think.
The prednisone made me have moon face. Like, that moon face is your face changes its shape. It's like really round, and it causes, sometimes the prednisone can cause acne. And I just looked different. I felt like I didn't look myself. I gained a lot of weight. Um, the prednisone causes you to eat a lot. Like, I was always hungry. My body had to get used to it. Um, my hair started really coming out a lot. It was just a trying time for me. It was just a trying time for me, coupled with the joint pain, the tiredness, the just everything all hit me at once. And I just felt so down about myself. And I isolated myself because of these things. I went to work, but I wouldn't go hang out. I wouldn't go party. I wouldn't do the things that I was doing before. And there was a time that I couldn't dance. I couldn't dance because I was in so much pain. The joint pain, wreaked havoc on my body. So it was just a lot. And I just feel like I didn't have the enough support to
Well,
help me through
I
it.
apologize. I'm listening.
I feel like I didn't have enough support to help me through it, but I will say I had God. I had God. He's the one that brought me through this. He gets all the glory. He gets all the honor. He gets all the credit. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got better. And I thank him every single day, because I also was hospitalized with pericarditis. Pericarditis is fluid around the lungs, fluid around your heart. I mean, and when Carol spoke about the fluid around her mother's lungs, that's the same thing that I had. But what they did when I had it, they gave me the prednisone to bring down the inflammation. But they cut her heart open. They cut Carol's mother's heart open. So it was just a lot. So I just want to say, anybody dealing with loneliness, you have to find a support system.
Well put. And thank you for that, Poetess Chanelle. We'll be right back.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think. Right. Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't be a zombie. You better think. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think.
Thank you for joining us for You Better Think, hosted by the Poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen. As you know, we've been in the studio today with several guests discussing lupus. It's Lupus Aware Month. And right now we are going to bless you with another guest who also is facing the condition. And I'm going to be blessed, as always, to sit back with a cocktail and a snack and listen to the Poetess Chanelle shoot her shot. Say hello to Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Hello there.
How are you feeling today?
Today, amazingly, is a great day.
Great. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm just going to jump right in because, like we've been talking about this debilitating disease called lupus, I would like to ask you, how long have you been dealing with this lupus and what type do you have?
I am 59 years old now. I discovered it at 17 years old. And it's lupus erythematosus, systemic.
Okay. SLE. All right. And so it's safe to say you've been dealing with SLE for over 40 years?
You do the math.
I'm gonna say around that
Yes.
over 40 years. And when you first got diagnosed, I want to know, like, what were your initial feelings?
The way I was diagnosed was a little problematic.
Oh,
Because
give us a little insight.
I arrived at a sophomore year in college, and within a month there, I got an incredible pain in my abdomen. I couldn't even stay upright. In fact, they had to send me home. So after lots of tests and all sorts of pokes and prods, my mother came into the room and said, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "What?" She said, "Because they said that you might be pregnant. That you might have had what do you call it? A miscarriage." And I said, I guarantee you, I was not pregnant. I did not have a miscarriage. It was none of that. So that was her segue into asking me if I'm having sex.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was a traumatic way to have that kind of conversation. First of all, I'm a sophomore. I had a boyfriend all through freshman year. We were in the summer program together before year. He came home with me and met my family, and we were inseparable. What do you think we were doing? You know,
Right.
What I learned was she and my father had to talk with each guy that I was dating, that they want me to be a virgin until I'm ready to be married, because they want a big Spanish wedding. Now I know why they were all scared off. But this was a Spanish guy, so he knew how to say yes to the parents, get what he wanted. But still,
Right.
that wasn't really looking at the problem. So or tests, and they said, did I have hepatitis non-A, non-B? Came into the room and said, what kind of freaky stuff? I said, what the hell? What are you talking about? Turns out there's hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and hep C did not have a name at that time. But years later, it was determined that this country was not testing for hepatitis C, and about 75% of the country had it.
What?
Yes, you should get tested.
Hepatitis C. I do get tested when I go to my PCP. Yes, she does. I think she does C and B, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Yes. I think she does C and I think she does B when I go to the doctor.
They are two completely different things. I had 2 blood transfusions at birth, and they weren't testing at that time. So I probably was given bad blood. So that cleared that up. But again, more testing, and it came down to lupus. That's how it was discovered.
Wow.
Months
So when
later.
when they said lupus, what did you feel? Like, what did you say?
I didn't expect anything. I didn't know anything.
You're so young.
I was a relatively healthy young child. There was a lupus clinic at the hospital for special surgery. I didn't look like any of them. They had all kinds of sores on their skin and things going on in their face. And in actuality, what occurred was that I was paralyzed for a while. And look, I'm going to do whatever they tell me. I'm going to do the exercises. And if I can't dance again, let me go. And of course she is. That's how I felt. Is that smart, I'm active, I can't do what I want to do in my life. Keep me alive.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think. Right. Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't.
Poetess Chanelle.
Yes, because Christine, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
So I'm just gonna ask you
this important question. Do you feel like the healthcare system failed you in regards to the lupus treatments?
The healthcare system failed you in regards to the lupus treatments?
No,
No.
Okay.
not at all. They tell you what it is. With any disease, they tell you what they know. You read and do your own research and follow their direction. Not going to do that. It's on you.
Interesting perspective. So I want to thank you, Christine, for gracing us with your presence. I really appreciate it. We are honored and we love you. And for anybody struggling with lupus, yes, you must do your own research. You heard it right here on You Betta THiNK, hosted by Cass Allen and the Poetess Chanelle.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think.
Right.
Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie?
So, Poetess Chanelle, you've been sharing a lot with us about some of the things that you have faced with the lupus from the standpoint of the questions that I asked you about discovery and family members. Do you find, and we've been talking about the medical part, do you find that the support system is it not, on a personal level, but just from your awareness that people have enough of a support system outside of the medical center, through your friends, through your family, through facilities, that provide comfort and, corporations that provide ergonomic stuff for you? Are you comfortable being in the workplace?
No, absolutely not. They do have lupus support groups, but I think there needs to be more done for people with lupus. And I'm speaking for other people that I know that have it, and I'm speaking for myself. We need more. We need more support groups, especially in New York, especially all around the United States. We need more. We need more. We need more. We need more of research to find a cure, but they need to be more diligent. It's no excuse why you guys can't have a cure, don't have a cure by now. I don't want to hear anything because this, it's, I've seen so much with this illness, with myself and with others, and giving medication to manage the symptoms is just not good enough at this point because it causes other problems. It causes other problems with your
Excellent point.
liver. Yes,
Mhm.
it causes other problems. Like I had started the new medication 2 years ago, and my body had to get adjusted to it. I went through a lot. And as for example, I had high blood pressure for a little while from the medicine because I never had high blood pressure before.
Right.
Then cholesterol, it messed with my cholesterol. It just caused a whole bunch of problems. Thank the Most High, though, I am doing way better. I'm doing wonderful because now the medication, is stabilized in my body. But it's like you making all of these medications. Where's the cure? You saying, you preaching, oh, we're in the race to find a cure. Like I'm not seeing enough. I'm not seeing enough. And I think a cure for lupus would really help so many people. So many people.
For anybody listening out there on the airport to Chanel, how can they get more involved? At the end of the day, it takes the people to make things work.
That's
We,
true.
we are the system. What do
Yeah.
we as a nation, what do we as a globe do? What do our clay asses do? Yes, I said it. What do our clay asses do sitting around? What the fuck are we waiting for? We are the
You
people.
say clay.
We are the people. What the hell do y'all want to do to cure lupus? Talk to me. Hell,
Okay.
inbox me. I'll be the lupus president if that's what the hell y'all waiting for. I don't care. What do we do as a people? There, what? How many billions of us on the earth?
Yes.
Let's keep it
I
real here.
totally.
You know, we keep it real on this show. What do we do to get rid of
That's
lupus?
right.
What are
I'm
we
gonna
waiting
say
for? The
this.
boogeyman to come from under the bed? Who are we waiting? Freddy Krueger to come running out of the closet with a vial saying, "Sure, who's gonna do it? Come on, step forward, because whoever does it, you're gonna be known for the rest of your life to infinity. You're gonna be a bad motherfucker. We're gonna love you. Come do it."
And nutrition is a big part also. And I'm piggybacking on what you're saying because nutrition plays a part. And I think that we have so many like resources outside of the United States in the jungles, like plants, natural herbs, natural plants, fruits, vegetables. I think that could be the first step. That could be the breakthrough that we need.
Mm. You know, to touch on that, do you think with some things they have the cure and they just might not be giving it to the population, or is that a possibility in life? That people
It's
want to make money on pharmaceuticals instead of healing people because they
yes.
want our fucking money. Yes, I'm keeping it real tonight. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you're offended, we'll talk to you later. But that's what this show is about. Think. Don't go down a narrow path of assumption, one of those narrow-minded articles out there. What the hell is really going on out here? That I know a person that's lived with this for 40 years. And I'm not seeing the breakthroughs. I'm just seeing
Mm-hmm.
breakdowns. You feel me?
I feel you on that.
I'm very thankful, like I said, to not be a Debbie or a Donnie Downer, depending on how you see me. The point here is the poetess Chanelle is gracing us with her energies, and I'm very, very thankful to have her, as you all know. You know, I love a person that can handle the truth of matters, and she blesses us every month with the real deal. And staying in that spirit, poetess, the floor is yours. You're going to close out the show. I'm going on mute and sip my cocktail.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think. Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't
Say this was this mom's show. It really touches my heart because the journey in being devastated, diagnosed with this devastating challenge. I don't really like to call it an illness. Devastating challenge has opened my eyes to the pharmaceutical companies. The truth. The truth of the matter is, lupus warriors, we have to do our own research. Not to say that the doctors are not doing their job, but don't just rely on your rheumatologist. Don't just rely on your PCP. Don't just rely on doctors. Do your own research to make yourself feel better by nutrition, supplements, exercise. Do your own research and find what works for you because everyone's symptoms are different and everyone's lupus is different. So I encourage lupus warriors, caretakers, friends who have lupus. You have a friend that has lupus. Do the research. Don't offend them. Don't ask questions that make no sense. Do your research. Be supportive of your friend. Be supportive of your family members that have this illness. And if they tell you that they don't feel well, be compassionate, because you don't know what they're going through internally. Lupus warriors need compassion, and they need support, and they need people who are going to understand what they are going through. And sometimes lupus warriors, they don't want to say what they're going through, because it's like, some people be like, you tired? Why you tired? Why would you ask me why I'm tired and you know that there's something going on? So I say be mindful and be compassionate towards people with this illness, and do your own research and be helpful. Don't condemn a person with an illness, because sometimes this illness is silent.
You better think, you better think, you better think, you better think.
Right.
Are you a zombie? Oh, wait, don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of You Better Think, hosted by the Poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen. As you know, we've been discussing lupus with several guests that we're being blessed with. Poetess Chanelle, take us out.
I just want to say that although lupus is a very, very complex, debilitating disease, it can be managed. But you must, as the patient, not only rely on the doctors. Like Christine said, you must do your own research. You must adopt nutrition, food as your healing, supplements such as omega-3, vitamin D, turmeric for inflammation. What else do I take? You must take a multivitamin, because the illness can wreak havoc on your musculoskeletal system and bones. You must exercise. You must take self-care. You must get the proper rest. You must visit your dentist. There's a lot of things that you must do as a lupus warrior. And it doesn't have to take you out. If you believe, for those of you who believe in a higher power, the Most High or whatever, lean on that also. It will get you through, because that's what got me through. And on that note, have a good night. You heard it right here on You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the Poetess Chanelle.